After rallying several fellow contestants to rise up against their captors, Jiun watches in horror as his close friend Jungbi is executed without mercy, alongside all the other players who participated in the attempted rebellion. But the punishment doesn't end there. Rather than eliminating all the rebels, the masked guards spare a select few, only to harvest and sell their organs. That afternoon, the players who chose to remain in their dorms receive a gift. When they open the casket, they're shocked to find Jiun still alive. When he regains consciousness, Jiun realizes none of his comrades returned. He understands the leader spared him only to witness the grim consequences of his actions. As the tally is updated, 35 players eliminated overnight. A massive cascade of cash drops into the prize vault. With only 60 contestants left, a new vote is held to determine whether they wish to continue. Despite the bloodshed, 41 players choose to remain. With most of the exit supporters dead after backing Jiun's uprising, the remaining group is now dominated by those hungry to win, no matter the cost. Elsewhere, as the chaos of the rebellion unfolds, Noyu finds a way to secretly save Junsok, one of the rebels. Instead of executing him, she fires a non-lethal shot and whispers for him to keep his he wants to survive. Smuggling him away, Noyu hands Junsok off as a gift to the twisted organ traffickers who run the black market operation behind the scenes. She then persuades guard number 7 to escort her to the surgery chamber under the pretense of joining the operation. But once inside, Noyu draws her weapon and takes the entire medical team hostage to stop the procedure. Furious at being deceived, guard number 7 attacks her and manages to seize her gun, only for Noyu to draw a hidden pistol and eliminate every criminal in the room, sparing only the surgeon so he can save Junsok's life. The next morning, the survivors are led to the arena for the 4th game. But on the way, they see the mutilated bodies of their fallen peers hanging high above the path, an unmistakable warning of what happens to those who oppose the rule. Inside the arena, colorful marbles determine the new team. The host announces the next challenge, a deadly version of hide and seek. The blue team must find the exit and escape within 2 minutes. Those who fail to flee must then hide, while the red team hunts them down for 30 minutes. Any red team member who refuses to eliminate a target will be executed. Each blue team player receives a key to unlock arena doors, but once open, the doors can't be locked again. The red team is given a knife, its use mandatory. Yeon-sik, terrified for his aging mother, Mrs. John, begs her to hide well so no one can find her. Inside the vast, labyrinthine space, players scatter, promising to alert the others if anyone finds the exit. Meanwhile, Jeon-hee, who is heavily pregnant, begins to feel intense pain. Mrs. Jeon rushes to support her. Seeing their distress, Yuna joins them and helps the pair reach staircase, guiding them upward to safety. As the countdown ends and the doors swing open, red team members flood in, knives in hand. Back in the medical room, the surgeon who saved Junsok is eliminated, and Noyu orders Junsok to disguise himself in guard number 16's uniform. The hunt has begun, and chaos spreads across the arena. As the red team disperses to find the hidden blue players, Jihoon zeroes in on one specific target, Daeho, the man he holds responsible for the failed rebellion. During the uprising, Daeho was tasked with retrieving more ammunition, but out of fear, he never returned to help. Jihoon now sees him as a traitor and takes it upon himself to avenge his fallen teammates. Spotting Daeho attempting to flee, Jihoon gives chase and corners him, but just before landing the killing blow, he realizes it's the wrong person and lets his target slip away. At the same time, Hyunju and Mrs. Jang help Jeon-hee escape an incoming attacker, but as they climb the stairs, Jeon-hee stumbles and falls. Refusing to abandon her, Hyunju stands her ground, protecting the vulnerable mother-to-be. During the struggle, Hyunju wrestles the knife from player 226 and strikes him through the heart, killing him to save her allies. After the fight, Myung-ji searches for Jeon-hee, her ex-girlfriend, hoping to protect her. But Jeon-hee's injury from the fall has worsened. She can barely walk. As she pauses to catch her breath, she suddenly goes into labor. Mrs. Jang takes the lead, assisting her through childbirth. Meanwhile, Son-nil, who betrayed her team and fled while others were eliminated for trusting her spiritual visions, finally locates the exit. But the door requires 3 distinct keys to open. Holding only the round one, she ventures off in search of the other 2, and uses the blood of a fallen player to paint an arrow on the wall, pointing to the exit. After the baby is born, Mrs. Jang wraps the newborn in her coat and hands it to Jeon-hee. Just then, player 202 attacks, but Hyunju launches herself at him, protecting her friends. She is wounded during the fight but continues battling with a limp. She eventually rips the knife from her attacker and stabs him repeatedly, eliminating him. Then Hyunju spots a door with 3 locks. She realizes it's the exit. With the keys for Mrs. Jung and Jeonhee, she unlocks the door, but instead of escaping, she returns for her friends. But as she opens the door again, Hyunju is ambushed, stabbed in the back. When Jeonhee sees her friend bleeding out, she discovers her attacker is her ex-boyfriend. Meanwhile, Shun-nil, who had managed to collect 2 of the 3 keys, is betrayed and killed by Min-soo. At last, Ji-hoon finds Dae-ho. The confrontation explodes into violence. Ji-hoon is determined to finish what he started. Dae-ho tries to reason with him, reminding Ji-hoon that it was his rebellion that led to the mass casualties, including their friend Jun-bi. But Ji-hoon won't hear it. He strangles Dae-ho to death, blaming him until the very end. Elsewhere, with the help of Mrs. Jung, Jeonhee finds the exit, but in that very moment, Young-shik appears, revealing he failed to eliminate a single player. Desperate to avoid elimination, Young-shik moves toward Jeonhee. To protect her and the baby, Mrs. Jung offers herself as a sacrifice. But rather than kill his own mother, Young-shik shoves her aside and charges at Jeonhee. In a heartbreaking moment, Mrs. Jung stabs her own son in order to protect Jeonhee and the newborn. The timer hits 0. Since Young-shik didn't eliminate anyone, he is disqualified and dies. Back in the dorm, the survivors are summoned. A new message plays overhead. 35 more players were eliminated during the 4th game. Only 25 remain. Only 25 players now remain in the race for the ultimate prize. Once again, the majority vote favors continuing the game, as the circle wins. Even after Mrs. Jang begs everyone to end the nightmare, most players remain determined to fight to the end, driven by the promise of the full reward. That night, while the others sleep, Mrs. Jang quietly approaches Ji-hoon with one final request. She tells him she believes he joined the game to save lives, not to take them, and makes him promise to protect Jeonhee and her baby at all costs. That child, she says, is innocent and deserves a chance to live outside the horror of that island. Meanwhile, No Yui storms into the officer's control room, threatening to expose his secrets unless he helps her escape the island, alongside Guard 16, who is actually Jun Suk in disguise. The next morning, Ji-hoon wakes up to devastating news. Mrs. Jang has taken her own life. Unable to bear the guilt of having killed her own son during the last game, she ended it all. The loss hits Jeonhee hard, and she breaks down in tears. Though Myung-ji watches from a distance, she can't bring herself to offer comfort, not after what she did. Suddenly, a voice echoes through the facility. Game 5 will begin shortly. The players gather and begin walking toward the arena. Even with her broken foot, Jeonhee knows she has no choice but to compete. As she prepares to leave her baby behind, the sound of the infant crying pulls at her heart, and she decides to bring the child with her. Seeing her struggle, Ji-hoon lifts the baby into his arm. He swears to help Jeonhee carry the burden and the child through the next challenge. When the players arrive at the 5th game's arena, they're met with a bizarre sight. The iconic red light, green light doll is standing face to face with a terrifying new figure. The challenge is revealed: jump rope over the bridge. To survive, players must jump rope across a narrow bridge and reach the other side within 20 minutes. Ji-hoon grows concerned about Jeonhee's injury, but she quickly realizes she won't make it in time and asks Ji-hoon to take the baby. The first player to attempt the crossing is Nam-gyu, but he barely makes it halfway before being tossed off. Ji-hoon ties the baby securely to his chest and begins his own crossing. Halfway through, he finds a weak section in the bridge, but he pushes forward and makes it across, saving the child. Wanting to help Jeonhee next, he tries to go back, but the other players flood the bridge, preventing him from returning. The next to make it across is player 96, but instead of helping others, He starts shoving them off the bridge, hoping to eliminate everyone so he can hit X in the final vote and split the prize with Ji-hoon alone. Chaos erupts as some players retreat, only to be ambushed by player 203, who also begins pushing people off. Furious, Ji-hoon threatens to do the same to player 96, managing to push past him and help others cross faster, desperate to return for Joon-hee, who can barely walk. Seeing the mother of his child about to be disqualified, Myung-ji finally steps in to help her. She apologizes for attacking Hyung-ju, not knowing she was trying to help Joon-hee and the baby. Now aware of her ex-boyfriend's true character, Myung-ji warns him never to come near her or the baby again, and rejects his help. In that moment, player 96 attacks Ji-hoon, blaming him for ruining his shot at wealth. During the struggle, Ji-hoon gouges his attacker's eye and shoves him back onto the bridge. Once the final contestant makes it across, Ji-hoon turns back to save Joon-hee, but she stops him. Looking at the timer, she realizes there's not enough time for him to cross back and forth again. With tears in her eyes, she begs him to live, for the baby. After whispering her final words, Joon-hee throws herself off the platform. Myung-ji watches in stunned silence, devastated that she didn't act sooner. Inside the control room, the VIPs debate what to do with the infant now that its mother has been eliminated. Some argue that since the child was part of player 222's game, it too should be disqualified, but the front man interrupts. He suggests the baby take Joon-hee's place as the new player 222. The news spreads quickly. Outraged, the remaining contestants call for the child's elimination, unwilling to split the prize even further, but the guards step in, declaring that violence against players will no longer be tolerated. Every player deserves a fair shot. Before the final round, the remaining competitors are treated to a lavish banquet. Even the baby is fed and clothed. During the meal, a guard steps forward and announces a twist. Before the last game begins, the players will vote to eliminate 3 contestants. The remaining 6 will split the prize. Voting begins. Ji-hoon and Min-soo are the only 2 to press X, marking themselves as targets. The other players decide to eliminate them, along with the baby. Far from the island, No-Will is flying off with Gil-sulk when she gets a call from the front man. If she doesn't return immediately, he will send a guard to the hospital to kill Gil-sulk's daughter. Desperate to protect the girl, No-Will heads back to the hideout and urges Jun-suk to go to his daughter's side as fast as possible. That night, Ji-hoon is summoned to the leader's room. The front man offers him a deal to protect himself and the child. Knowing Ji-hoon and the baby are now marked for elimination, he hands over a dagger and instructs him to kill his enemies. Ji-hoon demands to know why he's being helped, and the man removes his mask. It's In-ho. Shocked and enraged, Ji-hoon raises the blade to strike, but stops himself. Killing In-ho now won't stop the final game. Quietly, he lowers the dagger, turns his back and walks away, still uncertain of what to do, but more determined than ever to keep the baby alive. Determined to honor the promise he made to Jung-hoo, player 456 Ji-hoon walks forward into the battlefield, each step monitored by In-ho, the enigmatic leader of the game. Years ago, when In-ho was a player, he too had been given a dagger by the former leader. That blade helped him win. Now, watching Ji-hoon from the shadows, In-ho hopes to discover if the two of them are truly alike. But to his surprise, Ji-hoon refuses to give in to instinct. He chooses instead to face the next game fairly, without shortcuts, without blood, only resolve. The following morning, as the players prepare to march to the final arena, No-Yu breaks into the facility and demands the officer delete all records linked to player 246. But the man pleads for his life, claiming there's still a physical copy stored in the leader's quarters. If she wants everything erased, she must keep him alive. Inside the elevator to the upper floor, No-Yu is ambushed by her superior. A brutal fight begins. Though she's nearly killed, No-Yu manages to steal his blade, but not without taking a devastating blow to the head. Bleeding and barely conscious, she crawls to the elevator, reclaims her weapon, and eliminates her enemy. Meanwhile, the remaining players ascend a platform to the summit of the arena, where the host reveals the final challenge: Sky Squid Game. On 3 elevated platforms, square, triangle, and circle, players must push each other off to progress. If they manage to eliminate 1 or more opponents, the group advances to the next shape. A red button starts a 15-minute countdown. The first task, vote on who to push off the cliff. To protect the baby from becoming the scapegoat, Myung-ji steps in. Without revealing he's the father, he accuses Min-soo of being the easiest target. Though the others agree, no one wants to be the one to push the child, afraid they'll be dragged down too. To break the deadlock, Myung-ji grabs a metal rod from the platform and pushes the baby off himself. A bridge then extends to the triangle, and the others try to convince Ji-hoon to hand over the child. He refuses, so they threaten to throw him down along with the baby. But that creates another dilemma, no one else left to vote out. So they pretend to hold a random draw for the next sacrifice. Suspicious, Ji-hoon doesn't buy it. When player 336 lunges at him, Ji-hoon cuts the sash tied around his waist, meant to help the man's allies pull him back, and threatens anyone who comes near. As 336 turns his back, Myung-ji lifts the rod and asks Ji-hoon to step aside. He strikes player 336, sending him over the edge, and then reveals his secret. The baby is his son. Seeing the two men armed and unified, the older contestants decide to choose a new target, player 39. They plan to eliminate him next, allowing the 6 remaining to divide the 8 billion yen prize. But Ji-hoon insists they draw straws, fair and square. The debate turns violent. A full fight breaks out. Myung-ji nearly falls but turns the tide and pushes player 353 off the cliff. Ji-hoon takes down player 203 and shields the child. Myung-ji finishes off player 100 just as the timer hits 0. Realizing he'll be next, player 39 leaps off voluntarily, knowing this ruins the older group's plan. Elsewhere, No-Will reaches the room where printed player records are stored and burns them all. Back at the arena, Myung-ji orders Ji-hoon to surrender the baby, planning to throw the child off to secure victory. Ji-hoon refuses, saying he'll jump instead if it guarantees the baby's life. Myung-ji forces him back to the triangle. Cornered, Ji-hoon hands over the infant and leaps to the circle, dagger in hand. Realizing Myung-ji would kill his own son to win, Ji-hoon knows now he must fight. Their final battle begins. Myung-ji drops his rod and scrambles for Ji-hoon's blade but fails. In desperation, he lifts the baby as a human shield and threatens to drop him. Ji-hoon lays down the dagger, but Myung-ji strikes anyway. Both fall, yet Ji-hoon manages to grab the edge. As he tries to save his enemy, Myung-ji's sash tears loose and he plummets to his death. Ji-hoon pulls himself back up, the last man standing. He and the baby have survived the final game, but then he realizes Myung-ji's death didn't count. The round had not yet officially started. No button was pressed. Ji-hoon steps forward, presses the red button, and faces the hardest choice of his life. He recalls his promise to Joon-hee. With one last look at the child, Ji-hoon throws himself into the abyss, eliminating himself to save the baby. He is gone, but his mission? Fulfilled. At that very moment, the front man receives an urgent alert. A Coast Guard ship is approaching. He activates the evacuation protocol. As guards flee the island, Jo-ho breaks into the facility in search of his brother. But when he sees him holding the baby, he lowers his weapon. He knows there's no time. A bomb detonates. The island explodes in flames, taking the entire operation with it. 6 months later, No-Will confirms that Gyun-sulk and his daughter survived. The girl is recovering in the hospital. One day, Ji-hoon-ho, the man who once left everything behind, arrives home to find the baby left on his doorstep, along with a card containing 45 billion was, the full prize, the legacy of Ji-hoon's sacrifice. Later, In-ho visits Gyun to deliver a box with her father's belongings and a card loaded with money. As he leaves her home, he spots something in a back alley, a recruiter slapping down a red and blue tile, playing dakji with a stranger. A new round 6 is coming. The game is far from over. But what about you? Did Ji-hoon's sacrifice really change anything, or was it all in vain? Let me know in the comments below.